So now let's get this clear now. Let's review this again, right? So a dream, what do we say? Prophecy has to come true. Dream doesn't have to come true. It's a potential reality, right? And that's the proof. The proof is, Chazal say, it's one of the sources on the sheet at the end. It says, just like you can't have a silo without some grain in it, so you can't have a dream without some things that aren't a waste. Some things that are just not true. Every dream has to have some mishigas. So what does that mean? That's the sine qua non of any type of a dream. A dream will always have things that will never come true. Why? Because there's always going to be some potential that's not reached. A dream always will be some part of the dream. It's going to be some narishkeit, some mishigas. It's just not true. Don't even bother to interpret it because it will never come true. Because dreams aren't the reality yet. Right? But Yosef's problem is he lives as if the potentiality became true. So now how do we do? Now let's look at the whole story with Yosef and see how it all fits into what's going on over here. First thing he does, he's curling his hair. He's styling his hair. What's he doing that for? Well, if you look at the last source over there, the Rambam tells us that a king has to get a haircut every day. It's halach in kings. If a king doesn't get a haircut every day, he's sinned. He's not, because the king has to look perfect. Not because he's egotistical, because the masses have to see the representative of God has to be picture perfect. Even the President of the United States, I think, every day gets a little, the royal barber gives himself a little off the top. Just a little, not to have, one hair out of place. Even after you go to the barber, and 2 days later, it's one hair is out of place. Can't be the king has one hair out of place. Right? He has to be seen in his glory. A king has to be handsome. It's a law of royalty he has to have, right? So now, that makes sense. Once you're the king. Once you're the king, you have to dress that way. Well, look, he's already dressing like the king. V'hunar, it says v'hunar. And he's a young lad. Means he's a teenager. What is the definition of a teenager? All of us have the schus to have raised teenagers, or are in the process of raising teenagers, or have this to look forward to. Why do teenagers suffer so much? It's just a terrible part of life if they don't understand it. If you don't understand it, it's miserable. If you understand it, it can be tremendous. A teenager, what's the biggest challenge that a teenager has? A teenager wants to be treated like the adult that he is not. Right? A teenager wants to be treated like the adult that he is not. All right? He perceives that he is an adult at the ripe old age of 13. He has a shtickle seichel. The seichel's starting to kick in. He can discriminate. He can already make some, some abstract reasoning. A little bit, but compared to the adults, he's miles away. But he says, what in my opinion is just as good as my father's opinion. Till now, I didn't know how to think. Now I know how to think. And he thinks, once he knows how to think, it's boom. It's like the university student who took psychology 101. He's the most clever man on the planet. Oh, I understand why you're doing this. He just started. So the teenager just started with me like anything else, right? He perceives he's got to turn like an adult, even though he isn't. And that's what vuhunar. He was a lad. He wants to be what he's not yet. Now, obviously, he's more than just a simple teenager. But that's the first thing that an adult has to know, that you just can't tell the teenager to go fly away. Because he says, what are you talking about? I know what I'm doing. So he's going to have to kind of go through what Yosef goes through a little bit. Right? So now what else does Yosef do? And you notice that once the teenagers, all of a sudden their hair has to look nice. All of a sudden they get into the looks and into this, into that. Because it's a big thing. They're a big guy, right? So then it says, it says he was friendly with the sons of Bil and Zilpah, but now for the first time the Torah calls them Nishei Aviv, the wives of his father. Until now they always were called a Pilegesh, or a Shifra, concubine, a maid servant. They were never called his wives. They were now called wives. It's the first time. Why? And who is by Yosef's order. This was part of Yosef acting like a king. He's the one who starts conferring social status. The brothers are maligning the other brothers. You're the children of maidservants. You don't have the courage like we have, this and that. Another class explain all that too. Because what are you talking about? Let's upgrade them. Their mothers are wives to our father. They're not just second-hand children, or it is. So he's already acting like an adult. Already has the power to manipulate. And if you're a king, you certainly can do this, right? And then, of course, Yaakov gives him the ksonas pasim. Yaakov. Now, this could be a mistake or not. There's different ways you can understand this. He gives him the coat of many colors. What is that? That is a royal garment. That's a royal garment. And Yaakov's saying, yes, I see he could be the king. So Yosef is acting like royalty. He's assigning a caste system. He feels he has a status of royalty. His father's treating him like royalty. And what are the brothers saying? You're a Baal Chaloimus. You're a master of a dream. You don't have anything yet. It's still a dream. It's not reality. You are ahead of the game. For you as Yosef now, to live in the reality that you are the king, to live and think you're the king when it's only potential, that is delusional. And also very dangerous. If someone is the king before he's supposed to be the king, we're going to have major problems. Let's give it time, young man. Do the work that's necessary to develop to be the king, and maybe 20, 30 years from now, we'll gladly hand over to you to be the king. They're not going to fight. It's not an ego issue over here. But you want to start so much earlier. Okay, that's totally not proper. Right? And that's what they mean to say he's the Baal Chalomos. He's the master of the dreams. You think that dream is already reality. But it says, Vaviv Shamaras Hadavar. The father waited. What does it mean? He was Yoshev Metzapa. He was looking forward to the day when he would become the king. Because he knew he had to be the king. But it would be something that would have to take time. So what happens? Yosef makes a mistake. So what was his mistake? Now, Yosef's a tzaddik in training. He's a tzaddik in training. So, what's his mistake? The mistake is, this is your potential. None of the other brothers have it, but he hurries up the process too quickly. So now what happens? You make that mistake. Now we're going to get the reaction. Look what happens when you do this. Your brothers don't really like you. You make some major mistakes because you're not yet a king. If you would be mature enough, then, of course, I am the crown prince. Treat me like a king now. Why should we? They're saying, why should you? You're not the king yet. Maybe you won't actualize your potential. So they can already see where the tension is coming from when one person is already 5 steps ahead of the rest, and the rest are behind, and they say, I don't necessarily agree with you, what you're able to accomplish yet. I don't know. We'll see. But don't expect us to treat you this way if you haven't earned it. And he said, what are you talking about? It's just a matter of time. And that's his mistake. It's a big mistake. And he's punished for it. And he has to learn. So what happens? He's thrown out. He's sold to Mitzrayim. So much for your dreams. In other words, what's happening? You have no ability to live in that reality now. And now, think about it. And that's what Yosef had to do. So then, when he thinks about it, he's given a year time to think about it, and now he is tested. And now, the rabbis are telling us, and now you're going to see the rabbis with the 3 interpretations. When Yosef is now being seduced by the wife of Potiphar, what does he do, and how does he succeed, and how will we learn how to succeed? Okay? So rabbis are telling us how a person has to deal with that potential. So, let's say a person has a tremendous potential. Good. So how do you build towards that potential? What do you do? Right? If I know that I have potential, right? I can't deal with people as if I want the covet and recognition, and I should have submissiveness if it's not been accomplished. So what do you have to do? So you have to make decisions today based on the fact that you have that potential. Meaning to say, you've got to make a decision. You've got to jumpstart yourself a little bit. Your potential is this, but you're really here. You want all the trappings that come with being over there. But guess what? That's going to happen a long time from now. But what do you have to do? You got to do all the work as if you were over there now, but don't expect any of the honor. You've got to make the decisions as if you were already there. You have, but I'm not that. You see, here's the tension. Here's the problem with a teenager. She says, I'm an adult. Give me the keys to the car. But you're not responsible. What do you mean? I passed the driving test. I took 3 lessons. Boom, boom, boom. I can drive. There's no problem. Give me the keys to the car. I'm an adult. Says, you want all the cover, all this? Why don't you clean your room? You don't even call when you're coming late? When I'll be an adult, I'll do that. Wait a minute. He can't have it both ways. When you be an adult, but you want to have everything like an adult. That's the destruction. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why the whole teenagers of this world are being self-destroying themselves. Because they have parents who don't know how to raise them with this understanding. What right do you have? You give the kid all the benefits of being a teenager and none of the responsibilities of a teenager. That's what the brothers saw was the destructive power of Yosef. You can't do that. You're a teenager, you think you're going to be something, you act that way now. And when you act that way enough, then guess what? God will bring you what you deserve. Don't have what you don't deserve yet. See, it's so fine, the distinctions, because it's not like the teenagers are delusional. That is what they will be. That's right, they will be that way. And one day they will be mature, hopefully. Mature, responsible people, because they see that you're hopefully mature and responsible. So it's just a matter of another 15 years and I'll be just like you, Dad. So why I got to wait to do the work for that? Let me have all the benefits of the keys to the car and everything else. And of course, what do they do? What do they do? They take the keys to the car, and then I come out in the morning, 6:45, take a look at the car, and they leave the light on in the inside of the car this morning. And I didn't want to bother to see if it's going to start. I take the other car. I don't have to look both ways when I go through a red light, right? I mean, because right? It's like, what are you talking about? Like, just give me the keys to the car. Do you realize you have a $40,000 bullet in your hand? Do you realize you can kill anybody in a second if you're not careful? That's what I'm going to be careful for. I'm already an adult. So can you imagine now? Can you imagine how terrible that would be? Now imagine the brothers seeing Yosef, thinks he's going to rule over the brothers. So what kind of churban this would be? It would be a destruction. And you think Esav was much different than that? What was the whole problem with Esav? Esav had the same problem. Esav never wanted to do the work. Esav had the potential of being a tzaddik. No less potential of Yaakov, but he didn't want to do the work. So that's the problem over here. So what you have to get past it, so what does Joseph have to do to get out of the problem? He has to make moral decisions today as the youth, far beyond what his maturity is now, but based on the fact of what you would, when you're 30, how would you act? You have to start acting that way today. And that's what you have to teach a teenager to do. You have to say, you want the keys to the car? You want this? You want that? It means you want me to treat you like a 4-year-old. Fine. I'm happy to do it. Act it. No. You can't have it both ways, my friend. You act it. You show me that whatever. You clean your room every day. You're responsible. You're this. But that's like a 40-year-old. That's right, but you want me to treat you like a 40-year-old? So act that way. I don't want to. You don't want to? Well, I'm sorry. I can't give you all this stuff. That's only going to destroy you. And that's hard for a teenager, and the truth is for adults too. Not all adults develop so well as teenagers. Adults who have trouble holding down jobs, not for, sometimes it's their own fault. I was speaking to my mechanic Leo, nice Italian guy, he's a wonderful guy. I don't want to use the word tzaddik, but he's a wonderful guy. He's from the old school Italian guys. He's in his 60s, and he's got 3 kids, and so he says he's got this worker over here. Someone asked him if he can give a job to somebody. So the guy says, I don't know why he's complaining to me, but he knows Mayor. This whole comes from Mayor, so he always likes Mayor. Mayor was a hard-working boy. He says, I hired this guy a month ago, and every other day he calls in sick, he calls in this. Frankly, in a month, he's only worked for me maybe 10 days. He says, but he gets benefits and this and that and everything else. He has something come in tomorrow. He says, what kind of work ethic have people learned? It's why? Because everybody figures I'm entitled, I'm an adult, I'm entitled to get the pay and the this and the that, but to work your tail off, that they don't understand. That they don't get that part. And that's the part nobody wants to do anymore, because we live in a society of entitlement. That whole work ethic to develop that potential just doesn't happen anymore. Why? Because the parents give it to you anyway without even working for it. If you do this, we'll take you on the trip. Then he doesn't do it, you got to take him on the trip anyway. So they say you don't mean what you say anyway. So the kid doesn't have to develop it. But that's the biggest problem. So the Medrash over his tongue, this is what Yosef had to go through. That only Yosef has a big problem now. A very attractive woman wants to be with him. And you see Yosef's already sort of being like a king because his master puts him in charge of the whole place. He's in charge of the whole place. So the guy says, okay, let's see if you're going to learn something. You were away for a year, and I put you in this place. What did you learn? Now, you got to understand, what does it mean to be a king? What does it mean to be a leader? You got to make a moral choice. You're only 18 years old, Yosef. You've got to make a moral choice based on you being 50. So what does he do? Samer says, he sees a picture of his father. His father, the tzaddik, in his 80s and 90s is a tzaddik. He says, that's what I want to be. He sees that the breastplate will have the names of every tribe. Do you want to have the name? Do you want to be in that breastplate? Do you know what that means? That's unbelievable. You don't want to make yourself tamei. These are all important decisions you have to make, and the truth is, Yosef, right now you're not really there. What do you want? I'm only 18 years old. You're 18 years old, but you have the potential to be what you are, and now you have to make decisions as if you were that age. Pretend you're an old fogey. You know, you're over 40, and you're a guy with a mortgage and responsibilities and this and that. You just can't lose your job tomorrow. There's too much going on over here. You have too many kids to put through school. There's too much riding on this. Now you have to make the decision when you're there. So now, when a person makes positive decisions and commitments based on that potential, that is the very way to actualize the potential. That's how you actualize that potential. The fact that Yosef has holiness in him, and that he's going to be on the Kohen Gadol's breastplate, and he has a tremendous potential, and he recognizes it, and therefore he made the decision, says, I'm not going to get involved with the wife of Potiphar. Why is that? Because you made the moral decision based on your potential. That's the way he began to actualize his potential. So the potential doesn't mean that in 10 years it's going to happen, and that you're going to be the king in 10 years. It doesn't mean that some miracle, I got potential, so I'll just ride my time. I'll just count the clock. 10 years later, boom, I'm the king. That's not what it means. That's not what potential means. Potential means you're going to sweat it out for 10 years. And at the end, then you'll be that. To be able to do that's not an easy thing. That's the whole problem of Jews getting into Olam Haba. Kol Yisrael yesam chelek l'Olam Haba. Every Jew has the potential to be an Olam Haba. Doesn't say he is an Olam Haba. It's a big mistake. Everybody says you have. It doesn't say chelek ba'olam haba. It says chelek lo olam haba. You have a portion to create an Olam Haba. Not just walk right in. You have an entrance card. You get in. So everybody in this room has the potential to be an Olam Haba. So what does everybody want? I want to be treated like I'm already an Olam Haba, and I don't have to do the work for it. And I have to be respected and honored and this and that because I'm an Olam Habanik. No, you have to make decisions now, not being an Olam Haba. Not being an Olam Haba. You have to make a decision as if you were an Olam Haba right now. So what does a person in Olam Haba do on an Erev Shabbos? They're working to the last minute? You work to the very last minute? You walk in the very last second to make Shabbos? Well, because I'm going to go to Olam Haba. I'm an Olam Habanik. He says, that's only a potential is Olam Haba. You want to actualize it, you're going to have to make a decision on Friday afternoon based on you being in Olam Haba. If we would have that picture that Yosef had, what is Olam Haba? What is Hashem giving us all? What do we all, every one of us a Jew with a potential, what does Olam Haba mean? Olam Haba means you're going to sit next to God and enjoy every minute of it. There's nothing else on your mind but sitting next to God and enjoying every minute of it. So, that's the potential. Okay, so I'm a Jew, I'm already locked in, so it doesn't matter what I do, I'm going to get in there. That's not true. That's not true. You're not going to get in there if you don't make those decisions. And that's the problem we have with it. I'm going to get in anyway, I just got to wait till I die. Do what I want here. When I die, that's the biggest destruction. You destroy yourself. You got to say, right now I may not really appreciate what it means totally to be close to Hashem. But I've been told that I got to do certain things to be able to do that. I've got to be able to really enjoy the Shabbos. So what should you do? So maybe an Erev Shabbos, put on a nice suit. Put on a sinus possible. How can you come on Erev Shabbos with your weekday clothing and have time to change? Then you're never going to believe you're a king. You got to dress the part. You got to dress the part to show that potential will eventually happen, right? So that's what the rabbis are saying. The rabbis are saying that had Yosef not internalized the potential, you have to internalize. That's the potential that I'm not there. But I will be the king, and I will have my name on the breastplate, and I will be like my father, be exactly like my father. But I've got to decide and live like my father today, even though I'm not totally there yet. That will make me be there. Then he's able to say these moral things. How can I do this? This isn't a morally proper thing. This can't be done. This is sin to God. Then this doesn't come out of the woodwork. You think an 18-year-old is going to refuse the most adorable Paris Hilton type Egyptian in the world? And it's going to say, it's no problem, I can resist that. What are you talking about? Nobody could resist that. What he went through, abandoned by his family, and all the things he had to go through, where does it come off? Where does it come off? He can say no. Because, the Medrash says, because he was living in the reality of what his potential is and living with it right now. Living with it right now. It wasn't easy. And then you have the objectivity to call a spade and say this is totally morally not correct. Right? So now what's left says good? Does it make sense? Does it all make sense now? So now what's left to discuss is two more little points. So what did he say to her? He said his whole story. How can I do this? It's not right. He trusts me with everything. Blah 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 blah. And then it's like an afterthought. V'chatasi l'Hashem, and I'm going to sin to God. So he should have just said, I sinned to God. What's all this talk before him? So the answer is, Yosef is exactly making the moral decisions of actualizing his potential right now with these words that he is saying. What do I mean to say? He dreams he's going to be a king. Okay, you dream you're going to be a king. That's your potential. So now you have to act like a king, even though you're not a king yet, and you're far away from king. You got to make the moral decision to be a king. Okay, let's think about it now. What's the greatest thing a king has to be careful of? What's the greatest concern of anyone who could be a king? It's the following question. Does the state serve the king, or does the king serve the state? Do I need 3,000 pairs of shoes for my wife to keep in a closet, or don't I? Right? Do I need $5 billion of assets salted away in a Swiss account that's supposed to be going to all the poor Arabs, or not? So one good thing you could say about JFK, not a lot of good things could you said about JFK, but one good thing you could say about him, he didn't take a salary. He took $1. That was his salary. But that's about it. But the etzem of a king knows one thing, it's not me. It's everybody else comes first. Right? Does the king own the country and make everyone a serf for his personal self-aggrandizement? Or is he there to serve the people? So now Yosef has to show this. You want to be a king? Great. I'm going to give you an opportunity right now to make a moral choice of someone 20 years older as the king, even though you're not the king right now. And what's that? A question of betraying a trust. Now, king, everybody, King Arthur, King Henry. What is King Henry? He could chop anybody's head off if he wants, take any woman and sleep with whoever he wants. That's what being a king is. That's what being a king is. Being a king is you have to give yourself over to the country. So now he has the opportunity to take this woman, and that. See, people mix up kingship with power, think power for myself. Power is I can have whatever I want. That's the teenager's problem. They have a certain power for whatever I want. No, you have a power to do chesed. You're a power to help. You're a power to study. Power to make yourself, to make the rest of people benefit from you. So what Yosef is saying here, he's giving the exact test of what it means to be a king. And he's saying, I can't betray the trust. I have a responsibility. Someone entrusted me all the keys to the house. And Yosef understands that the whole reason not to live with this woman is because one day he's going to be a king. And as a king, you could never do this. As a king, you could never take advantage of your power and go take any woman that you want. I have to worry about everybody else. You understand that kingship doesn't mean swallowing up the people. It doesn't mean betraying the trust of the people. I'm a public servant. As a public servant, I can't have what I want. And that's the whole spiel, he says. That's the king I want to be. And also, it happens to be a sin to God. But the most important thing was to develop to be that kind of king. Okay, very good. There's only one last thing, and then we're done. One last thing. So see, this is the whole parsha now. It's Yosef's struggle to activate that potential. Right? So as we said every week, every one of these people is inside of us. Every one of us has a Yosef. What does the word Yosef mean? What does the word Yosef mean? Increase. Increase yourself. Increase yourself. You have potential, increase it. You got that's who you are. Yosef. Add on to it. You are small. What do we say at every bris of a little baby boy? Zakaton Godol. Yeah. He's a small, let him become a big. Just like the moon. You're small, one day you're going to be big. And that's what the pasuk was saying over there in Tehillim. Right? They said, blow the shofar when the moon is covered up. The whole idea of the moon being small, the whole dilemma of the moon. And then what does the pasuk say after that? It says, Eidus, what's the testimony? Bihi Yosef Samo. The biggest testimony that this can happen is that Bihosef. What's this Bihosef? Not Yosef, because his name on the breastplate was spelled Bihosef. With the Hey of Hashem. He was thinking about Hashem. The biggest proof that the moon's purpose of renewal is to grow into its position is to see that Yosef himself grew into that position when he became the Vayeshev of Egypt, and he succeeded. And Yosef grew up. So that which the moon's contention was, that's really the whole Jewish people's issue that they have. We have to grow up and develop that potential, but not want to get the honor without having gone through that work over there. That's what the Medrash is telling us over here. So there's one last thing. So now what happened? So why didn't things go so fine? See, he was a good servant. He passed the test. He acted like an adult. Then he gets thrown into jail. He gets thrown into jail. Because why? You got to see it. Maybe you're going to regret that decision. You made the teenager has to make a decision, right? Your mother says, okay, you've been pretty good, okay, I'm going to give you the keys to the car. But you've got to be back by 11 o'clock. Saturday night, you've got to be back by 11 o'clock. It's 11:15, there's 5 kids in the car. Come on, we just went to one place. Now there's a great movie going on. There's a big party over here. Man, you got the wheels, you take us there, it's going to be great. And my mother said, I have to be back by 11 o'clock. What? What kind of baby are you? You have to listen to your mother be back at 11 o'clock. Come on, are you a man or are you a wimp? He says, I'm a mature adult. And a mature adult is responsible and comes back at 11 o'clock. Because tomorrow I have to come to davening. It's Sunday morning. I have to be in Shul davening. Oh, what a wimp. So now, most kids will say, well, okay, well, what's another 5 hours going to hurt? Right? No, but this kid says, no, I'm going home at 11. What? Well, little baby, this and that, And then he says, sorry, drops everybody off, goes in at 11. Mother says, that was very nice of you. Then what happens the next day in school? On Monday, you see his desk will be painted. His stuff will be trashed. There's going to be some epithets. There's going to be all kind of twitters. Look at wimpy, Yosef. Wimpy Yosef, can't do anything, and all the friends, and he becomes disenfranchised from all his friends in the school. That's what happens when you make a mature decision, isn't it? Right? What's Michalowicz's golden rule? No good deed goes unpunished. Right? You do the responsible thing, people hate you for it. And you will suffer for it. That's what happens. That's what happens. So now why? To see, do you stick to your guns or not? Because there are consequences to these. You want to act like an adult. It's not just make the decision. Now you got to live with the decision. You got to take the flack. You got to take. It may not be what you want, but that's what a mature. Now figure, what were the choices? He could have slept with the wife of Potiphar. They would have figured a way to murder Potiphar, and he would have been really on the easy streak. He'd been one of the highest diplomats in Egypt, right? On the one hand, what did he get for being the right person? She cries rape. He can't defend himself. He's thrown in jail for 10 years. Now sit on that one, Yosef. Let's see if you still have the ability to be a king. Now, he could, and this is terrible already. This is like unbelievable. This is what I got. This is what it means to be mature. And that's what we have to encourage our children. Our children are going to make these decisions, and you can bet your boots their friends are going to make fun of them. You got to learn with them this parsha from straight to finish. Every parent should teach his child this parsha, and then teach it to yourself. This is what it takes. You're going to have to make tough decisions, and you're not going to be rewarded, because that's what being an adult is. You do what's right, not what's expeditious. So now 10 years he has to suffer. So he grows. He grows in those 10 years, right? And when the two butlers have this terrible dream, so what happens? He looks at them and says, "Oh, you're not looking so happy today. What's the matter, guys?" Right? He's still acting like a proper king. But boy, if anybody, he should have given up on mankind. People are terrible. They're terrible. Why should I look to help anybody? You're honest and you get shafted. But he still sticks with the program. He does what he can. He acts like a leader. He says, "Tell me your problem, tell me your problem." But now he makes one little more mistake. And he still has to learn one more thing. You see, what he had was a dream. The dream now was becoming a prophecy. It was becoming a prophecy because he was living up to the potential. He was living up to the potential. Once the dream lives up to the potential, becomes a prophecy, then God takes over. And then you don't have to micromanage so much. God will take over because you've now reached that level. And once you reach that level, then you have to act even differently still. In other words, he had already reached the level but didn't realize he reached the level. There'll be the point when you will become the king. You are that person, but you don't believe you are that person. Then you don't act that way totally. So now what happens? So when he interprets a dream, so he says, "Oh, by the way, when Paro brings you back to your position, remember to put a good word in for me." Rabbi says, "We don't believe in Hashem." So what are you talking about? So why did he not believe in Hashem? So the answer is, once the dream came true, and it wasn't a dream, it was a prophecy, then he didn't have to worry about it anymore. Once it was a prophecy, God will take care of you. You don't have to do anything. And that was Yosef's last thing he didn't cop. So the verse says, you're going to sit in jail another 2 years. To know that you're already on that level, and when it's time to go out, it won't even be you doing anything. I'll take care of everything. It'll all work out. And that was the last step that he had to learn. That was the last step that he still had to learn. That the prophecy the dream became the prophecy. And sometimes we don't realize, we get to that point where, so there's the interesting flow of life that comes. You start off, you're not on that level. We all have what we'll call the teenage mindset, no matter what age you're at. We expect to get a certain amount of honor. We expect to get all the perks of life. But we haven't deserved it. And if we expect those things, it becomes very dangerous. So what do you have to do? We have to make decisions based on being beyond who we are. And those decisions will bring us to that point. But then there's going to be a point, and as far as us to realize, when do I reach the point where I am now that new person? And now that I'm that new person, then even more is expected from that level. Now that I am really the king, then I have to behave even more that way. Now that the prophecy really is now a prophecy, the dream is a prophecy, so now I have to be able to say, I don't have to make any more efforts. Hashem will now carry the rest of the ball. He didn't yet believe that the dream became a reality. So Hashem says you have to believe when the dream becomes reality and act exactly the way you're supposed to now that it has become the reality. And now you have to expect the covet, and you have to expect, what happens to a guy, you get to a point, let's say you're the teenager, you become the parent. So when you're the teenager, you want the respect of being a teenager. You don't deserve any of that respect. You have to make the decisions as an adult. You still don't deserve any respect. But then there's going to be that magic moment where you become an adult. And now you have to demand the respect from other people. Because now you are the adult. And now you have to get that respect. And you still think you're the kid. Because you've always been thinking you were the kid. You always were small. But now you're big. And now that you're big, you have to act like you're big and expect to be treated like you're big. And expect to be treated like you're big. You can't anymore say, no, it's not my place. There is a place. Now that you're 50 years old and now you're an adult, you know what? When you see something wrong, you see someone doesn't give you the right honor, you pick him up and say, you're supposed to give me more honor. That's not the way you treat an adult. And you're supposed to do that now because that's who you are. And I'll say, well, who am I to tell my kid what to do? And that's what Yosef, he didn't realize. Once you reach that state, now Hashem has to treat you like an adult. You're the king, Hashem has to take you out. You don't have to do anything more. You don't have to beg people. Realize that Hashem's going to do this. So he made that mistake. Got to wait 2 more years. Next parsha, all of a sudden, boom, out of nowhere, after Yossi gets any hope, Paro puts him right, he's standing right in front of Paro. And Paro says, oh, I heard you how to interpret dreams. So what Yosef, if he didn't learn the lesson, he would have said, yeah, I'm pretty good at it. He said, no, the dreams belong to God. In other words, I'll let God take care of the rest. Because the dream is already a prophecy. And once he did that, that guaranteed his success. Because had he not done that, then Hashem would have had him fail again. So these struggles of Yosef are incredible. It's so real. It's so real that we all have to go through this. So much sadness and aggravation that we have from our children, we have from ourselves, that we have these heightened expectations, and we are all called B'nai Malachim, children of kings. We're all supposed to grow up to be that king, but we have to make these difficult decisions, right? So we have children who have to make the decisions, and it's the peer pressure. How do I do this? How do I not do this? You got to explain to them. This is exactly Yosef went through. Let's go through it, see what he had to do, and then the kids will eventually get to that potential that they want. That's the whole thing about the moon. The moon one day will become that way. That's when Mashiach's going to come. Mashiach will come when every potential is realized. Every prince becomes a king, and it comes through hard work. You see, Yosef, what he had to do, the Rambam says, what's the example of Kiddush Hashem? Kiddush Hashem is what he did with the wife of Potiphar. You see, everything Yosef did, he suffered. All good decisions came by a price he had to pay, but he was willing to live with the price. And only then could he, next week's parsha, then get back to his brothers, and deal with them the way he's supposed to have dealt with them in the beginning. The problem might be, maybe the brothers didn't grow up as fast as he did. That's, we'll have to talk about next week's parsha. Okay.